Make It Stick is a book on learning science, the science of learning. It's got 8 chapters, 8 big ideas, and they are: learning is misunderstood. To learn, retrieve. Mix up your practice. Embrace difficulties. Avoid illusions of knowing. Get beyond learning styles. Increase your abilities and make it stick. Now, did I get that right? Embrace difficulties is chapter 4. Avoid illusions of knowing is chapter 5. Get beyond learning. Okay, we got that right. Chapter 1 is subdivided. It's a chapter on learning is misunderstood. There's 5 headings. 5 headings under 1. The second one, there's 3 subdivisions. Okay, those 5 headings are. Man, now this one's more difficult. Embrace difficulties. Okay. Knowledge. I think that's 3. Knowledge, not enough, but necessary. The takeaways, that's 5. Knowledge, not enough. Testing, dipstick, or learning tool. One of the subdivisions is early evidence. Oh, the heading is empirical evidence versus lore, theory, intuition, and under that is people misunderstand learning, early evidence, something else, and then the first one that I'm blanking on again. Claims we make in this book. Empirical evidence versus theory, lore, intuition. Knowledge, not sufficient, but necessary. Testing, dipstick versus learning tool. The takeaway. Under empirical evidence versus lore, intuition, theory, you've got people misunderstand learning, early evidence, and man, I can't even see right now. I've been squeezing my eyes to those. Claims making this book, illusions of knowing. People misunderstand learning. Okay. Knowledge, not sufficient but necessary. Dipstick versus. Okay, yeah. Empirical evidence versus lore, theory, intuition. People misunderstand learning, early evidence, and illusions of knowing. Okay, now I've got the framework of the book, the 8 chapters, pretty dialed, right? I got 8 in a row, first try. Now we're going to throw that into Anki. And if you're unfamiliar with Anki, it's a learning tool. It's a software on my computer. You can get on your computer, and basically it's like a flashcard system. So right here, what I'll do is I'll create a new flashcard. First, I'll create this, create a new deck, and I'll call it Make It Stick. And then within the deck, I'm going to add a flashcard saying, what is Make It Stick about? A book about the science of learning, very simply, in a few words, something like that. So I know it's a cue in a few words, and what are the 8 chapters? Now I've got the schema or the framework of the book downloaded or uploaded into Anki. So before I go on about that, it's a book about the science of learning. And then the 8 chapters are, we're doing it again apparently. Here we are. 1 is learning is misunderstood. 2 is to learn, retrieve. 3 is mix up your practice. 4 is embrace difficulties. That one always makes me think of the Mindset book by Carol Dweck, Embrace Difficulties. 5 is avoid illusions of knowing. Of knowing. 6 is get beyond learning styles. 7 is increase your abilities. Is that it? Increase your abilities. Yeah. Increase your abilities. That also makes me think of Carol Dweck. And then make it stick is the final chapter. Okay, and now I add that to the deck. It's now in the chapter. I'll click study now. I already got this. I'm gonna skip this one and I'm gonna say good. I got it right. So now the next time it will show me it in 1 day is in 1 day. And since I already got it right today, off the jump, I'm gonna just go through the next day and say I got it either way, not actually waste my time doing it again. And then the next time it will show me it is in about 6 days. So we'll see in 6 days if I still got it. If not, I can say on Anki like, that was hard, or no, I didn't get it, and then it will adjust the next time it will show me. Okay, so the questions we got. Why do the authors claim learning is misunderstood? Actually, we're not going to read these right now. What I will do is with today, before I get into chapter 1, what I will do is there's a preface. You know what? First, what I want to do is I'm just going to read the reviews. I'm going to read the covers about the authors, and then the summary right here in the cover, and then I'm going to read the preface. But before I read the preface, I'm going to recall what I read about this stuff. So I'll be back after I read the stuff on the covers, inside cover, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, so based on what I just read on the cover, back cover, inside flaps, Peter C. Brown is a writer, and I think he helped write and flesh out these ideas of these two, who are both professors of psychology. Henry L. Roediger III and Mark A. McDaniel. These are two professors of psychology at Washington University, St. Louis. Okay, yeah. I find it strange that a Chronicle of Higher Education top 10 books on teaching. That's it? That's the best thing they could put in bold? Like, this is like, I thought a really important book on learning. Why did they put like one of the best books, top books on learning or something like that? Why does it have to be top 10 books on teaching? I know there's 9 others that are very good too. I don't know. This intro flap was kind of basically saying a lot of the stuff we take as mainstream intuition or knowledge for teaching and what good teaching and learning is, like such as learning styles, and like you need to tailor like to specific learning styles like kinesthetic, auditory, visual, that kind of stuff is kind of outdated, not supported by recent data and studies. Embracing difficulties and overcoming these difficulties is what leads to deeper learning, and that like illusions of knowing, such as that come from mass practice, which I've like started to mass practice guitar. Strangely enough, I've started to do it, but I made a video on my latest motor skill learning approach and understanding, and separate from declarative knowledge, like learning a book, like word-based and theory-based. At least the motor skills of guitar, right? There's a difference between the theory of guitar and like, we're not even going to get all of that. I've talked about that in previous videos. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read the preface. Okay, the preface, here we go. The preface starts with basically saying that learning is misunderstood, and that the techniques that most people use, the majority of people use, including med students, college students whose job is to learn full-time, they often use very ineffective techniques for learning, meaning they're wasting time and effort by using suboptimal techniques, and that in the recent years we've gained more evidence and scientific evidence that back certain techniques, and also say that others should not be really used, and that actually the intuitive things to do for learning often aren't the most effective. Then it goes over the team. So there's 3 people in the team, right? There's the storyteller, Peter Brown, I believe. Yes, Peter Brown. I'm gonna try not to look anymore. I'm gonna get their names wrong, probably. Peter Brown's the storyteller, but then there's 2 psychology professors who are actually cognitive scientists or cognitive psychologists. Henry Roediger and someone else that I've lost the name. So we got Peter Brown, writer, Henry Roediger, one of the psychologists, and there's another psychologist. Now, this book is the result of the work of these 2 cognitive psychologists, but also the work of 9 others. There was a panel of 11 cognitive psychologists back in 2002 that were brought together and were awarded funding in order to take the recent research that had come out of cognitive psychology about how to learn most effectively and the techniques and evidence behind learning techniques and cognitive psychology, and to translate these studies and this research and evidence into education, and how can this science over here be translated into practical changes in the educational system in order to improve and be backed by these evidence-based new research on cognitive psychology and learning. So this is back in 2002. And Henry Roediger, I believe, was the head of this group of 11 psychologists or cognitive scientists. And this book is largely a work that has come from that group working to bring this science to education. And that was 10 years, I think, of research and synthesis to come up with the information that they ultimately brought from that research or synthesis or a collection with that group in order to bring it to education. And so then it goes into a little bit how this book is outlined. Each chapter introduces a new idea, but that this book actually uses 2 techniques that they'll be discussing in this book throughout the book, and that is spaced repetitions and interleaved practice. And that by this they mean that they'll bring up concepts that they've covered in previous chapters and new contexts and new chapters, and they'll repeatedly do that over time, because spacing out repetitions actually leads to more memory, stronger retention, and then the ability to then take that, which was in the cover. The cover was the ability to take knowledge and then apply it to new novel situations. And so we've got like learning is misunderstood, non-intuitive, the overview of the team, how this book kind of came about, some of the techniques they'll use in this book, such as interleaved and spaced repetitions, is being embedded in the chapters, new topics coming from each chapter. And then basically I think it was pretty much a wrap up about who this book's for, and it's pretty much for everyone that wants to learn, teachers, students, coaches, whoever, managers, everybody learns. So it can be for everyone and anyone. Okay. And so I believe that's going to be pretty much today. I read the preface, the inside covers. I recalled the chapter overline. I recalled the structure of chapter 1. And Mark McDaniel is who I forgot, double M, probably won't forget it now, Mark McDaniel. And yeah, so tomorrow, I know, after an hour and a half, 3 days, is it 3 days? Is this the 3rd day? Surely not. Whatever. Over an hour, 3 days, hour and a half, 3 days, I don't know. We will begin chapter 1 tomorrow. And how will I do that? Okay, yeah. I'll probably go ahead and read a section at a time. So that's one of the subdivisions. Actually, first thing I'll do is I'll review these questions. Why do the authors claim learning is misunderstood? Why do the authors claim is exposure worthless for learning? If so, what is considered exposure? Okay, exposure. What claims do the authors make in this book? How can and why do people misunderstand learning? What are the main points, such big ideas that why is knowledge non-decision? Interesting. Okay, that's the problem with rereading. It doesn't really do much, but at least it was spaced. Yeah, I'll read one section at a time. So I'll read this intro to learning misunderstood. Then I'll record active recall. Then I'll read claims we make in this book. That's a longer subdivision. Then I'll do an active recall. So yeah, this book will take a while. I'll tell you that much. And I don't know if I really should be devoting this much time to this book, if it's really that worth it, but I think it's worth it, at least for me. Oh, they have suggested readings at the end of the book. Do they? They have other books they recommend, or papers at least. Yeah, scholarly articles. All right, that's it for today. Talk to you guys later.